Hi girls, and welcome back. So today our lesson is going to be on baseball position numbers. Okay, that's it. In baseball, every position has two numbers. Okay, this is really interesting. I want you to grab this. First off, on the field, when you're a defensive player, your position has a number. Okay. Second off, when you're batting, you have a batting order, and that's where you bat, and that number is your spot. Okay, so I wanted you to kind of know this. And you need to know this because as you watch a game, they'll say things sometimes in code, which is in numbers, and it'll make it a lot easier. So if you're the catcher, your position number is 1. If you're the pitcher, your position number is 2. First base is over here, I guess, where I'm at, that's number 3. Second base is number 4. Third base is number 5. And the shortstop, I call him the liaison. He's like the guy right in between infield and outfield. He kind of usually hangs out right between like middle of first base to middle of third base. He's typically very fast and he has a really good throwing arm. Just on a side note. His number is 6 and your outfield is 7, 8, and 9 from left field, right, center field, right field. Okay? So here's what's great about this. A lot of times when you're watching a ball game, you're going to hear an announcer say something like 6-4-3 double play. Perfect. 9 times out of 10, if you don't know what these numbers are, I mean, that sounds like a foreign language to you. But a number 6 now we know is a shortstop. So instead of saying the shortstop caught the ball and he threw it to the second baseman to get the guy running out, and he threw it to the first baseman to get the guy who just hit the ball out, that's a double play, right? Well, in order to say it fast, he just calls their positions by the number. So he'll say it's a 6-4-3 double play. And that means that the shortstop grabbed the ball, threw it to second, and he threw it to first. 6-4-3. That is the most common one you'll hear. I could go into some really wacky, crazy ones. There's no need for that. It's not really important. I just want y'all to know that one because that one is important. So everybody has a number. So that way you kind of know their position. Each position has a number. Now, more important than that is your batting order. Now, we're only going to go into the basics of the batting order because the American League is going to be a little different. Remember, we talked about the designated hitter. So their batting order is always going to be a little bit different than the National League's. And I'll explain a little bit of that as we go. So the batting order is not just simply drawing straws out of a hat. Each person that bats has a reason for being in that order. So there are 9 guys that play in a baseball game. Remember, we just did the positions 1 through 9 when you're playing the defense, when you're on the field. And when you're batting, there's still 9 guys in the game. So the first guy that comes up, we call him the leadoff guy. That means he leads off. He's the first guy in line. His job is to get on base. His job is not to come out there and hit those fierce ball home runs, ladies. Not his job. His job is this, and I'm going to tell you why. He's typically the fastest guy on your team. Doesn't hit home runs. All his job is to do is to get onto base. And if he does really good, he can steal second. But that's a whole other story. His job is to get on base. We call it legging one out. When you leg one out, it means you hit some little tiny ball to like the third baseman. And anybody else who wasn't fast would be out. But because you're fast, you're going to leg one out, which means you're going to run really fast and get to first base. See the difference? Perfect. So you're at first base. You've got your first guy on. So then your second order guy comes up. Typically, this guy is about the second fastest on your team. He might hit some home runs. Sometimes he's up there if he's a power hitter and he's struggling. But typically, this is someone who's still fast on your team, doesn't hit a lot of home runs. Because you really want those guys on there first. Because they're going to steal, they're going to move. And the number one thing that they're going to do is they're going to piss off the opposing team's pitcher. Because what he's trying to do on top of trying to get this guy who's batting out, now he's got to worry about somebody who's going to try to run around the bags when he's not looking. Just a big giant deal. So your second guy is going to be another really fast guy. His job is to hit a baseball so that the other guy can move over to another base. See, it's all movement. It's all rhythm. So we're all just continuing to move. So then here we get into the batting order we call the heart of the order. Okay? The heart of the order is 3, 4, and 5 spots. These are your power hitters. Your power hitters are people that hit home runs. They hit for what we call numbers. They hit for numbers. They're going to hit home runs. Your goal is to get 20 to 50 home runs out of them a season. You would love 115 RBIs or runs batted in. I'll be covering that in the next vlog. You want that from these guys. This guy's job is to get there and hit as many home runs as possible. Get as many base hits as possible. Okay? They want to get on base as often as possible. Now, that's your third, fourth, and fifth guy. On a different note, the fourth guy, we call him the cleanup hitter. He's typically your best home run hitter. And here's why, ladies. Because your third guy and your fifth guy are really good hitters. But they want to get good pitches to the guy in the fourth spot because he hits them the best. So you want your pitcher to have to throw good pitches as opposed to bad pitches. And if it's someone who hits really well, they try to throw him bad pitches so he can't hit. But if he has too many good people around him, they have to pick their poison and choose their battles. Kind of like life. So there you are, 3, 4, 5. Now, we hit number 6. 6 and 7, I like to look at these guys sometimes as not necessarily power hitters, but they can usually bat for what we call average. They're definitely going to be consistent. They're definitely going to get hits. They're probably going to have a pretty good solid batting average. They're going to be known for getting people around the bases when necessary, but not necessarily getting home runs. That's not really their job. They're kind of at the lower end of that. That's not really where they go. So, and then you have 8 and 9. 8 and 9 is going to be, in the American League, it's totally different. So we will go over that in a little bit. But in the National League, your 8th guy is usually one of your slower guys. That means he plays out in the field really well, but he might not hit as well. So he's definitely going to be in the 8th spot. I always call it's a hard spot to hit in because the pitcher bats after you, so no pitcher that's throwing to you wants to give you anything to hit. That's always the problem I have with it. So if you can find just somebody who will hit well in the 8th spot, that is priceless. Not a lot of people can do it. It's not easy to do. And then 9th spot in the National League is always your pitcher because it's the last spot. It bats the least amount of times, and you don't want your pitcher to bat very much. Now, the American League is going to flip it a little bit differently, but they are going to stay consistent. Their first 2 guys will be their fastest guys, first being the fastest, their leadoff man. Then your 3rd, 4th, and 5th, your 3rd guy and your 5th guy are going to be home run hitters. Your 4th guy is your biggest power, your cleanup guy. And then, so they're just going to change it up a little bit. They'll actually probably end up with one more power hitter. That's what an American League team looks for in a designated hitter, is just another power hitter. So they almost have 4 power spots. So that's basically the difference because the pitcher doesn't hit. Okay? Girls, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I'm hoping it was pretty cut and dry. So now you know there are 9 numbered positions when you're on the field. So each position has a number, center field, catcher, pitcher, everybody has a number, but only for when they're on the field and for that position. When you go into your batting order, your position, it doesn't matter your position. It really depends on the order that you're in, and that will depend on what kind of a hitter you are. Okay? All right, girls, remember what I always say. Once we master sports, we will absolutely be able to rule the world. All right, girls, take care.